In this lab, we're going to try to demonstrate the law of conservation of mass. So with the law of conservation of mass, all of our reactants that we start out with in our reaction, if we find the mass of those and add them all together, they should equal the mass of all the products. So if we were baking a cake, for example, if we had all the ingredients, the flour, the egg, the sugar, everything in our cake, and we were to weigh those and find the mass, then we bake our cake, which would be the chemical reaction taking place, and then we take that cake out and weigh it. We should have the same mass. Now, we don't have exactly the same mass in a cake because there are some air bubbles, gas bubbles produced in the cake baking process, which then actually have mass and are lost, and we really can't capture those. So to make the law of conservation of mass actually work, you have to do this in a closed system. So we have what's called open systems and closed systems. In an open system, your reactants and products can't escape that system. So when we do this reaction, we are going to use Alka-Seltzer tablet, and we're going to put that in water. And if you know anything about Alka-Seltzer tablets, if you put them in water, they fizz. Fizzing and bubbling is a sign of a reaction. And so we're going to use that in water, and we're actually going to use a Ziploc bag as our closed system. So we're going to have this take place in the Ziploc bag. So everything that we start out with, we'll put in the Ziploc bag, have the reaction occur in there so that we can catch those air bubbles and calculate the mass of those air bubbles. So the first thing I need to do is find the mass of the reactants that we're starting with, and I'm going to use water and the Alka-Seltzer tablet. So I first need to measure the beaker that I'm going to put my water in. So the beaker is 27 grams. So I'm going to write that down. Then I'm going to add about 30 milliliters of water. So I add that. Now I'm at 54 grams. So if I do the 54 grams minus the 27 grams, that's going to tell me the mass of my water. So 54 minus 27 gives me 27 grams for my water, and I can see that math right there. Then the next thing I need to do is I need to find the mass of the tablet, but I'm going to also go ahead and put that in the bag, and we're going to include the mass of the bag in our calculations because we're going to do this in the bag, so we're going to add it to both sides of our reaction. So I'm going to lay this on the scale, and the tablet and the bag are 5 grams. So the bag and the tablet and the water are going to add up to 32 grams. So 32 is going to be the mass of all my reactants. Now I'm going to carry out the reaction. So I've got my Alka-Seltzer tablet. I'm going to put it up in the corner of my bag so that the water doesn't touch it until I'm ready. Now I'm going to pour my water in the bag. And now I'm going to seal up my bag and try to get out as much air as possible because the air is not part of my reaction. So I want to get out as much as I can as I'm sealing that up so I don't add that into my mass. And now I'm ready to drop the tablet into the water. And so we can see that bubbles are being formed, and that's an indication of a reaction. And so I'm going to let this happen until all the tablet is gone. And I can actually see my bag is starting to fill up and get a little thicker because of that gas that's being produced. You can see just a little bit of the tablet still in there. But you can definitely see the bag has a lot of that gas inside. And sometimes if we put more water, or if we put another tablet, we can even get this bag to almost want to pop. And we can hear the fizzing starting to slow down, and we can kind of see that it's starting to slow down. And I think we're just about done. So now that there's no more tablet left, maybe just a little bit there at the bottom. Okay, now we're going to find the mass of our products. So we'll put the whole thing on the scale. And there we have, it's right at 32. So if we look at our calculations, our reactants were 32 grams and our products are 32 grams. And so that proves our law of conservation of mass. What we had to begin with is exactly what we got in the end.